I was still training pretty good and feeling pretty good. And then, so I said, okay. And we haven't signed or sealed the deal on the money part of it, but
all right, so I want to get right down to some of the questions that some of the editors at Sportskeeda had asked me to ask you, and then some scouting report. Recently, you made a comeback, and I was thrilled to see.
It's more like a cameo appearance.
Yeah, well, it wasn't. I mean, you were back in the ring, so it's an official comeback. And a lot of people said, they saw the match, that you were great. They loved everything you did, but they all want to know, and not a long story and all this, they all know that you were kind of romanced, maybe to be in Flair's last final match, which I don't know if it will be. But the question is, not a question. You and I talked a long time ago about this, and I remember you telling me that you really wanted fans to remember your matches against Ric Flair in the heyday of both of you, because they were, when I make my list of the greatest feuds in wrestling history, Steamboat and Flair is there. So why weren't you why didn't you acquiesce and, if they romanced you and did that?
Well, initially when, Conrad, who's the promoter,
yes,
when we talked, I drove to Nashville, and we had a sit down, and there was Conrad and his wife, and then me and my wife Sandy, and I was still training pretty good and feeling pretty good, and then so I said okay, and we haven't signed or sealed the deal on the money part of it, but what put the nail in the coffin is about a week after that, I found out that Flair was wearing a pacemaker. Oh. Now, all these years, I never knew.
Yeah.
And I immediately just said, I don't think I want to do this. So I don't want my legacy to be that, I was in the ring if he happened to pass away or something went wrong.
Of course.
I didn't want that. And so I've done some interviews after that when they found out that I said no. But, first time I'm coming public with this, I didn't want to throw Conrad or Flair under the bus.
Sure.
So I threw me under the bus, even when I was talking with you, that I'm not the guy that the fans remember me by. So I want them to remember me. It's like one of those old time boxers. They get in the ring, and after about the third round, when his legs are gone, everybody's sitting there saying, "Man, he should have stayed retired."
Yeah, Larry Holmes and Muhammad Ali is a perfect example of that.
Yeah. It just, So that's what I used. I used me as the reason, and so Big Time Wrestling, BTW, Steve I have a Asian guy. I think Tony Hunter.
Oh, very well. Very well.
Yeah.
Very well.
So, Big Time Wrestling, they're out of Boston. Mm-hmm. And whenever they come south, they use Tony to help line up advertising and shows like in Raleigh or Spartanburg, because Tony's from around the region.
Tony's terrific.
And a good guy. Yeah, I met him and, I was his first wrestler.
I do know that, actually.
Yeah, when he started booking,
Remember.
So anyway, it started out a little conversation about it being like a single match. And I said, no, I'm definitely not going to do a single. It's just not. I'm not going to do it. Then it got to a tag, and then it got to a 6-man, and then my two partners, FTR, are two boys that I know. I helped train at the school. WWE school about 8-9 years ago or so, and they're good kids. They're great, and so I said, I got a pair of really good guys. So I finally said yes because I felt like I could sprinkle some Ricky Steamboat dust, and then I could tag out.
Yeah, I love when you say that.
And then, get me back in for a little bit of this and that, and then I could tag out. So,
yeah, so that
and that's exactly the way it turned out. I wanted them to get the heat on me. I said, I think it only makes sense. My two partners, they said, no, Ricky, get the heat on me. And I said, no, I mean, if you want to let's do a 2-stage heat and they get a short heat on you, and I could come in and get into a Steamboat comeback, and then I get stopped, and then we can get some good heat. I think it only makes sense because I'm the senior citizen.
Yeah. Oh.
In out of the whole group, so it would make sense to, let's beat up on the old guys. So
yeah.
I came up with the hot tag and the finish, and actually they threw in the part about figure 4 and all three of us getting the figure 4 and the 3 heels and doing the Ric Flair thing, so it went about, I think, just shy of 20 minutes. But I know the fans enjoyed it because I could hear them in the crowd. They were just going bonkers.
Yeah, it was great to see you back there.